If you write Python, you've probably used Ruff. Maybe you've switched to UV. Maybe you've been hearing about Thai. These tools went from zero to absolutely everywhere in the Python ecosystem in under 2 years. And now, OpenAI just bought the company that makes all of them. Astral. The startup behind the fastest Python toolchain on the planet is now an OpenAI subsidiary. And depending on how you look at it, this is either the best thing that ever happened to Python or the beginning of the end for open source dev tools. Astral was founded by Charlie Marsh in 2023. Their first product was Ruff, a Python linter written in Rust that was literally 100 times faster than the existing tools. It replaced Flake 8, iSort, PyCode style, and a dozen other linters overnight. Then came UV, a package manager and virtual environment tool, also written in Rust, that made pip look like it was running on a dial-up modem. UV installs packages in milliseconds. It resolves dependencies faster than any tool Python has ever had. And just recently, they released Thai, a type checker that's gunning for MyPy's crown. Here's the thing. These aren't niche tools. Ruff has over 40 million downloads per month. UV is being adopted by major companies and projects across the entire Python ecosystem. The Python Packaging Authority started pointing people to UV as the recommended installer. Astral didn't just build faster tools, they were becoming the default Python developer experience. And now, OpenAI owns all of it. So why would an AI company buy a Python tooling startup? The answer is Codex. OpenAI's coding agent platform now has over 2 million active users. And what does Codex need to work well? It needs to install packages, resolve dependencies, lint code, check types, and manage environments. Millions of times a day across thousands of concurrent sessions. Right now, every AI coding tool, Codex, Claude Code, Cursor, Windsurf, they all shell out to pip. They all use whatever linter the project has configured. But if you own the toolchain, you can optimize the entire stack for AI-generated code. Imagine UV baked directly into Codex's runtime. Imagine Ruff catching AI-generated errors before they even reach the user. Imagine Thai providing real-time type feedback to the model as it writes code. OpenAI isn't just buying tools. They're buying the plumbing that connects AI code generation to actual working software. The gap between the model wrote some code and the code actually runs. Bloomberg reported the deal was announced March 19th. No price was disclosed, but Astral raised $32 million last year at a rumored $200 million valuation. Given OpenAI's current spending, this was probably pocket change for them. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Ruff and UV are open source. They're MIT and Apache 2.0 licensed. Thousands of developers have contributed to them. The entire Python community rallied behind these tools specifically because they were independent and open. OpenAI says everything will stay open source. Charlie Marsh posted that the team will continue to operate independently and that UV, Ruff, and Thai will remain MIT licensed. The GitHub repos aren't going anywhere, but we've heard this before. How many times has a big company acquired an open source project and promised nothing would change? Remember when Oracle bought Sun and got MySQL? Remember when IBM bought Red Hat and said CentOS would be fine? Remember when Elastic changed their license after AWS started eating their lunch? The fear isn't that OpenAI will close source UV tomorrow. The fear is slow drift. Maybe UV gets features that only work with Codex. Maybe the best version of Ruff requires an OpenAI API key. Maybe Thai's type checking gets enhanced by an AI model that's only available to paying customers. You don't have to close the source code to capture the ecosystem. You just have to make the open version slightly worse than the proprietary one. And there's a deeper issue. OpenAI now has a massive conflict of interest. They compete with every other AI coding tool: Anthropic, Google, Cursor, Podium. And they now control the Python toolchain that all of those competitors depend on. It's like if Google bought NPM and promised nothing would change. Sure, technically they could keep it neutral, but would you trust them to? So what do you actually do about this? First, if you're using UV and Ruff today, keep using them. The tools are good. They're better than the alternatives. And even if OpenAI eventually steers them in a bad direction, the MIT license means the community can fork them. That's the whole point of open source licensing. Second, watch the governance. Are outside maintainers still getting their PRs merged? Is the roadmap still driven by community needs or by Codex integration timelines? Is the documentation still neutral, or does it start pushing you toward OpenAI products? These are the early warning signs. Third, this acquisition tells you something about where the entire industry is headed. AI companies don't just want to write your code. They want to own the tools you use to run it, test it, lint it, and deploy it. OpenAI bought Astral. GitHub already has Copilot deeply integrated into VS Code. It's only a matter of time before every part of the developer workflow has an AI company's name on it. The question isn't whether AI will reshape how we build software. It already has. The question is whether the tools we depend on will remain truly open, or whether open source becomes a customer acquisition strategy for companies that want to own the entire stack. OpenAI buying Astral is the most important developer tools acquisition of 2026 so far. Not because of what changes today, but because of what it signals about tomorrow. The AI companies aren't just building models anymore. They're buying the infrastructure. And if you're a developer, you need to pay attention to who owns your tools. If this was useful, you can subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.